Florida State adds 2 more defensive players from the transfer portal.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back into Locked On Seminoles. I am your host, Brian Smith, longtime college football recruiting analyst and writer. Thank you for making Locked On Seminoles your first listen each and every day. Truly appreciate you stopping in to talk some Noles with me. Today's show is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Today's show is another fun one. Not only one, but 2 more additions for the Noles. We're going to talk about what that means down the line because, quite frankly, this is a team that is on a roll with the transfer portal. They have a top group, and it's one of the best in the country by 24/7 Sports. We're going to talk about that. But before we get there, we're going to talk about 2 players, Jayson Jenkins and Elijah Herring, both at one point that were at the University of Tennessee. And the first one was just there, and that is Mr. Jenkins. 6'6", 282 pounds, defensive lineman. Played 214 snaps last season. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so we can look at his Pro Football Focus stats for those of you that are on YouTube. And for those of you that are not, that's all right. I'm going to go over the key elements of it and define why they are important, because this is an important player to Florida State's future. They're finally adding not only depth, but proven depth, and that is going to aid Florida State quite quickly. Number 1, overall defensive grade, 75.5. Rush defense, 72. Tackling, 70.7. Pass rush, 75.2. And he even dropped into coverage, surprisingly, against Vanderbilt, so he got a 60 grade there. What are the grades meaning, and how do they work out? I should probably go over this more often. 60 is considered average, so he was above average in pretty much everything. And no offense, I don't care about the coverage grade. I don't expect 280-pound defensive lineman to drop into coverage very much, if at all. So he's in the 70s in the 4 key categories. And for me, it also is important to note that in 4 of the last 5 games, he played over 20 snaps for arguably the nation's best third down defense. And the reason they were is they stuffed teams. Tennessee's rush defense was really, really good, and they got people behind the chains, and then they rushed the passer. They were pretty consistent with the run gap fits as a unit. Jayson Jenkins was a part of that. And to be honest with you, I find it very, very interesting that he's a guy that ends up leaving there because Florida State is fortunate to get a guy like that. You need a little luck to build your roster back up quickly. What a great strike for the Noles here. 6'6", 282. I expect him to play right or left defensive end, depending on the week. He played both at the University of Tennessee, so I don't think it really matters which side he plays on. And we also need to talk about what is coming along with that. Number 1 here, you got Deontay McCray, 6'4", 283 out of Western Kentucky, and Diamante Diggs, similar names, 6'5", 260 out of Coastal Carolina. So you got 3 guys when you add in Jenkins. And don't forget, Daryl Jackson entered the NFL draft verbally, but the Noles got him to come back. In a way, that's arguably the most important guy out of the entire group. They're going to have more depth than what people thought, and they're going to have a lot of experience up front. So this is a really good group. And then on top of it, you got James Williams, the young man that had played a couple years at the University of Nebraska. Florida State's in pretty good shape here. That young man right there in Williams fits the prototypical stand-up outside linebacker pass rusher that is normally customly going to be in a 3-4 kind of defense when you think of like the Lawrence Taylor era or something like that. But in a 3-3-5, they can move him around. And he will occasionally put his hand in the dirt when they go to more of a 4-man line or shift around and do something like that, maybe double eagle, etc. Florida State's in a great spot. Also, with Mr. Jenkins, he had 10 tackles, 2 sacks, 7 stops. I expect him to be a run stuffer first. But again, as a note here, this is a little bit surprising for a bigger body guy like him. His pass rush grade, again, was 75.2 by Pro Football Focus. That's really good for a big player. Most guys that are bigger like him at a 3-man line will not rate out that high. That's a really good sign. Florida State is also going to be getting a player that was once at Tennessee, then he transferred to Memphis, and Elijah Herring. We're going to talk about him next here on Locked On Seminoles. From big upsets to game-winning drives, the NFL playoffs are better with FanDuel because right now new customers can bet $5 and get $250 in bonus bets guaranteed. That's $250 in bonus bets, win or lose. The FanDuel app gives you everything you need for live bets, same game parlays, and so much more. Visit the website and share betting lines around your team or league. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today and get started with $250 in bonus bets. That's FanDuel.com. Make your playoff season unforgettable with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the National Football League. This show is also brought to you by Gametime. If you have not downloaded the Gametime app yet, you're missing out. This is the easiest way to find events in your area or wherever you're traveling to. Maybe you can even get to the college football playoff, an NBA game, a concert, whatever it is that you like to do. A friend of mine likes going to concerts all the time. This is a way to go. You can see the seats, click on it, and you can see the venue right there from your phone or tablet. It's very, very easy to do. I know I've used a lot of different things in my life to find different events, but it's usually just through the basic internet. Gametime is the fastest way to do it that I've used on any app or anything else. That's just true. And Gametime Picks is something inside the app that you can use. Just click on the tab. It will show you the best prices inside any stadium or arena, and you can quickly figure out what's best for you right there. So take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. Elijah Herring is the other young man that is going to be transferring to Florida State, at least as of the time of this recording. Who knows? There could be another one by the time I'm done because Florida State's so hot. Started at Tennessee, transferred to Memphis, and now I'm going to share my screen on this young man, and we're going to talk about his abilities. And once again, for those of you that have not had the opportunity to come and check this out on YouTube and you're listening, which is totally fine, I'm going to go ahead and read off some of those stats to make it a little bit easier for you as well. Inside linebacker, 6'2", 230 pounds. He played a bunch this past season for Memphis. In fact, this is crazy. In the game against North Texas, in some ways, I hope this is wrong, he played 101 snaps in that game. That must have been an overtime game. That's crazy. For the season, 629. That is a ton to play. So he basically didn't come off the field much at all. Here are the grades for Mr. Herring. Defense overall, 64.6. Run defense, elite grade, 82.4. Tackling, 62.7. Pass rush, 64.6. Coverage, 50.6. So it's obvious this is a young man that likes to stick his head in the middle of the pile and beat up on people. 82.4 run game. That is tremendous. He had 14 pressures, 5 sacks. He also had a total of 29 stops. What is a stop by Pro Football Focus? That means a young man went out there and tackled somebody at or near the line of scrimmage, putting them behind the chains after that play. 29 is a lot. Experience matters too. And this is a guy that's been around for a few years at 230 pounds. He's got the size. He's been to the weight room. Florida State needed help at linebacker. This is another really good addition. I am really and truly surprised at how quickly they've assimilated getting this group together. He joins Stephon Thompson, a young man that played at Nebraska, so he obviously knows the system for Coach White. He's also going to join Caleb Lavalley, the linebacker that just came in from the University of North Carolina. He's a younger player, still learning. But this is a good group, man. You get 2 experienced players and one guy to bring along that can play on the inside in a 3-3-5. Florida State did really well. Don't think you're going to be ahead of where Florida State's at on front 7 recruiting. And I want to talk about that a little bit too. If we look at Florida State in totality, there are, I think, 15 guys now from the portal, and depending on which service you want to go by, some of them won't be updated until Monday. I know one, I think On3, so only had them at like 12. They hadn't updated it yet. But they're number 6 overall in the transfer portal rankings. Florida State needs some of that help, obviously, and it's good to get some confirmation from somebody following it. That was from 24/7. They've got all the players in. Good for them to get ahead of the curve there. I'm not surprised that Florida State's doing well, but this well, yes, I will openly admit I did not think they would be at this point. I'm not sure how many of you are. Comment, question, whatever you want on the YouTube page, and let me know what you think, because just in the front seven, they got 7 guys already. D-line and linebacker were big needs. They're hitting it. I think this also answers one of the questions that I had as a main point in a recent podcast. Is Florida State going to compete financially with several other schools? You wouldn't be in a top 10 position in the portal rankings unless the answer to that is yes. I don't know how it's getting done. I don't know which collectives or how that works. And to be honest, I'm not sure I really care. I just know that Florida State's getting good football players. All the stuff that's going on with the House settlement and all that, and how the money's being spent, that's been a topic on this show and others. Battle's End, etc., has helped. But whatever way it's coming together, Florida State's athletic department and everybody involved deserves kudos, no doubt about that. Before I wrap up, I also want to mention one other thing. There are other players on campus, high school, college, etc., over the weekend, the last few days. Some have just concluded visits or some still on. At any point, more can happen. And that's why I put, if you're on YouTube and you see this on the tab here over here, it says what's next at the bottom of it. Really don't know, but it's been going so well. You just keep thinking when I get up, okay, there won't be any real news today. I keep being wrong. I thought they'd get like one player sometime between like Thursday and the end of the weekend. Well, there are 3 or 4. It's going really, really well. Why not Monday? Why not another one tonight? The portal has been hot for Florida State, and do not discount some recruiting news from the prep ranks anytime soon. As an extra note here, I also spoke with a player that was formerly committed to the Noles, Isaiah. He's a kid that's the 2026 pass rusher. If you go look the YouTube tab on the recruiting page, I did a thing on the 5-on-5 and the new rage with all the competitions. He's working with Trench Gorillas under the 24K organization. They've kind of done a collab. That's a guy that's going to be courted heavily by Florida State. They're still going after him. He's one of the top pass rushers in the country for 26, and that's just one of many. But he confirmed with me yesterday that he's definitely still looking at Florida State. There's a lot of possibilities for high school kids with January visits, so keep an ear out for that as well. Once again, this has been Locked On Seminoles. I am Brian Smith. Thank you very much for stopping in. Please hit that like button, that notification bell, and subscribe to this podcast. You can find me on X at FBScout_Florida for more transfer portal news, more news on Florida State and what's going on in the world of college football. I will see everybody again on Monday.